Hi, everyone. Apologies for being late, but we'll get moving right away. So I will call this meeting to
Yeah,
order.
but if I gotta get the earphones would be right.
This meeting has been advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and it is publicly accessible in accordance with law. Roll call, please.
Yes. Kevin,
Here?
Rocco,
Here.
Superintendent Sedadino, absent. Dr. George,
Here. Just gotta go in.
Sarah, Maria,
No.
Should be able to go in.
Give it to me.
Rosemary, I am here. Zainab, she's not there. Maddie,
Here.
Mayor Walker, absent. Frank,
I'm here.
okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, do we want to introduce? Oh, pledge allegiance. Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Carrie, are you staying for the full meeting or do you?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So then I think we should go into executive session. And then what we'll do is at the end of executive session, we can do an introduction of the friends and we can do the company for the doors as well. So we're going to go into a brief executive session. So anyone from the public that's on, we're just going to put you back in the waiting room for just a few moments.
All right, I'm sorry, I can't see, so I've got to go over to the computer.
All right. In the meantime, I need a motion to go into executive session for matters of personnel.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, I'm not seeing, where do I do that again? Put them in the waiting room? Just click on them?
You should be able to right click them. No? Oh, you know what? You're missing the end of the screen there, all right? Can you drag that to the left a little bit?
No, unfortunately. And when I clicked on that, it only gives me the option. We've done this before.
Thank you.
All right, so all in favor of going to executive session?
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? No, thank you. Okay, then everyone is back? Very good. Okay, so let's go through the action items quickly. So the minutes, approval of the regular meeting minutes and the executive session meeting minutes.
Make it.
Thank you. Second?
A second.
Thanks. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Oh, I give you back your book. I'm sorry. Sorry. No. We're going to here, or just
No,
use
you
it?
just-
I could just say the name,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, Kevin,
Yes.
Rocco,
Yes.
Dr. George,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Rosemary's yes, Maddie,
Yes.
Frank.
Abstain.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to personnel. Item A, accept resignation of a library assistant. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call. Oh, any discussion? Sorry. Roll call, please.
Sure, Kevin,
Yes?
Rocco,
Yes.
Dr. George,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
I am a yes, Maddie,
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we will take items B and C together since they seem to be the same person. So I will
Make the
ask for a motion.
motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second
Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Rocco,
Yes.
Dr. George,
it. Abstain.
Sarah,
Yes.
I'm a yes, Maddie,
Yes.
Frank.
What are the two items? I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Oh, it's accept the resignation of teen librarian Laura Parnagian And
Okay.
then the next item is appoint branch services manager Lauren Parnagian.
Abstain.
Is that everyone?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, no,
No.
you.
Oh,
I
yes.
missed you.
Yes.
Sorry. I was checking that. I was alternating. I got back into the swing of things.
All right.
Now that's everyone.
Approve the job description for coordinator of strategy and communication. Motion.
I'll make it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Dr. George?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Did she say no?
No.
Sarah?
Yes.
I am a yes. Maddie?
Yes.
Frank?
Abstain.
Kevin?
Yes.
Rocco?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we were gonna add one additional item, item E. Chris, will you please give us the,
Yes, under personnel item E, acknowledge and approve reprimand and 3-day suspension of employee number 1450, March 26th through 28th, 2024.
do I have a motion?
Weber will move it.
Second? I think Doc- okay. All right. I'll ask discussion, although we've discussed, so I don't think that, okay. Roll call, please.
Sarah?
Yeah.
I am a yes. Maddie?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Rocco?
Yes.
Dr. George?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to finance, action on the April 10th bill listing in the amount of $245,961.95. We don't have Maria here. I didn't get in touch with her today, but I did look it over. I didn't see anything. Did she ask any
She
questions?
did.
And all questions were answered?
Yes, there was a concern that I hadn't gotten board approval when we originally approved the $10,000 for the tower upgrade. That came in 2 separate invoices. One was under 8,000 and the other was around 2,000, which came out, the whole project came to 10,200, but that Maria had questioned the additional invoice, but it was just broken out in 2 different pay periods periods with that.
Billing periods, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
All right, motion? I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah. Is the bill list, are we voting on the bank information that I asked about? I don't know if that's confidential or,
No, it's not confidential, but this is the bill listing. That information you were asking for, is that going to be part of director's report or update?
You mean the percentage rates on the
Yeah,
account?
where we have money and.
well, in the amount that we received.
I believe that this is just the bill listing
Right,
on what we're
But
paying.
we will be discussing that later.
Yeah, that,
Separately. Right,
yeah.
okay. Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
I am a yes. Maddie?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Rocco?
Yes.
Dr. George?
Abstain.
Sarah?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
That's a foolish question.
Yes.
Is that item E that was under the personnel? or-
Yes.
And I guess is that gonna be included in another revised agenda?
No, that was just an additional item that we discussed in executive session. Yeah. Okay, so we will move on to old business, and I'm going to jump to item B because we have a member of the Friends of the Library. I'm sorry, Gary, your last name? Johnson? Gary Johnson. Mr. Gary Johnson is here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Gary?
Sure. Hi, all. My name is Gary Johnson, the now current president of the Friends of the Library. Looking forward to figuring out, how we can get ourselves started a little bit quicker, but also how we can help the library in whatever way that will be, and look forward to partnering with you guys. I don't know if there's any questions about me personally, but if there are, I'm happy to answer.
So, I know you guys have had some time that you've been spending on organizing yourselves, and obviously you're now president and so on. So have you guys gotten to the the place now where you're starting to organize maybe like fundraisers and things that we can work with you to help support?
I think we're close. I think we're still trying to understand what the top priorities are in terms of helping the library, whether that's fundraising, book sales is a very big question, but donations is another really big question. And then just also, well, I guess outside of it, equal to that point, what else we can do other than, I guess the book sales has been the big thing for money. What else we could do? We've had some pretty good ideas so far. So again, just raise funds and then again, getting that list of just, for the needs of the library and, how we can help.
And are you guys planning on being present at some of the events that occur? So Dawn, we're gonna have a big summer, I understand a big summer reading kickoff type of thing and so on. Would it make sense, obviously, to have the friends so that they can kind of introduce themselves as well to the community?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the plan is for us to, at any events that are coming up at like a table or something, we're still trying to work on, how to advertise, QR codes and sign up forms and all that kind of stuff, so we can get people, involved.
Great. If you can get yourself set up in the next 2 weeks, we're running the mayor's 5K here at the complex. And we have a really nice turnout and we set it up. So I'll give you my contact information.
Sure.
And I'll save you the table if you would like to.
And there is no mandate that they have to run during the event.
You're running what, Frank?
You have to run the 5K.
Oh, who's running at the table?
I'm gonna let everybody know that I'm gonna admit
Yeah.
Brett.
Which is perfect timing because he's up next. Okay, so anyone else have anything for the Friends of the Library?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts on our behalf. We appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Yeah, we do. Okay, so next we have just on time, PMC, the keyless entry contractor.
And I'd like to introduce Brett, am I saying it correctly, Berdiger?
Berdiger.
Berdiger, Brett Berdiger from PMC. And he came and did the walkthrough of our building and created the proposal for the keyless entry that we discussed last month. And I know that some of the board members had questions that I feel that Brett would be much better able to answer.
Sure.
Well,
How are you guys?
I certainly have a couple of questions. How many doors are going to be involved? All 11, or whatever we have?
So no, not all 11 doors were walked, or I'm sorry, quoted, I should say. There were 8 doors that were included. Do I have the ability to share my screen? I don't think so. Dawn, do you have they all saw the quote or got a reference of the quote or no?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna be able to see if I could share my screen, but I don't think I can. So no, there were 8 doors that were included on the walk. You had 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 4 exterior doors, and then there were 4 interior doors that were quoted.
Where are they? The only doors that I'm aware of are the back door and the front door.
Yeah, so you go ahead. Sorry.
Where are the other doors? I mean, who uses them?
Yep. So you have your main door, which is your front.
Right.
Then there's main entrance.
There's the
You
back door
have-
that the employees use and deliveries.
I'm sorry.
The back door is the one the employees use, and to my knowledge, it's the ones that the one that deliveries are accepted at. Where are the other doors?
Is the back door? Are you referring to the side of the building,
Yes.
or the
Yes.
complete? Okay. Yes. Yeah. So that door. Then there's a second door there, and then you had. Dawn, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 3 office doors.
Where are they?
I'm trying to remember, Brett, those are the ones that are they the ones that went into administration?
Yeah, that's what I think they are.
Correct. Yeah. It's the administration offices.
So those doors go both ways, right? Like push or pull, right? You push out either way you're going.
That's
right?
the one by circulation.
By circulation.
Is the one that flips back and forth like that.
Okay.
And that one isn't one of the ones. So two of the doors that he's talking about are the very exterior door, which we currently leave open during the day for people to get to the employee entrance. So that's two doors there that would get done.
Trying to see if I could share my screen. That way people could see. There. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, let's see if we can make it possible for you to do that.
Let's see.
Let's see.
You guys should see my screen now, correct?
Oh, perfect.
We see it.
Okay. So let me see if I can. Sorry, I'm kind of operating on my phone here, so bear with me. That should look better for you guys.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
So those are the 8 doors. So you have the 2 where what we're calling the delivery entrances. You have 6 and 7 are in your main entrance. 8 was a side door on the opposite side of 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 are going to be your administrative doors.
Selfish.
No, I don't think I understand the 3, 4, 5 doors.
It's those doors. One of the issues that we have is that Linda's constantly having to go out and make sure that they're locked because staff are in and out and they're not being locked. And this would ensure that there's never a time when they're unlocked by anyone other than staff.
So Joan, I think the confusion is, right, 3, 4, and 5 are not exterior doors. They're interior. So those are the doorways that would lead from the main part of the library to the administrative area where Dawn and Linda's offices are.
Yeah, protection for the public, in essence.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I got-
Makes sense.
It's a little clearer. So
But
what
here's
are we
my,
doing to them? What's the keyless thing? I understand the 2 main, I just don't understand why these doors are included.
So I'm able to interject and maybe
I was like,
talk about something that might make sense. So those are so we were looking. So generally, you install keyless entry, right? From a convenience factor, you don't have, everyone doesn't have 7 different keys. Keys don't get lost. Keys don't get stolen, right? There's a convenience factor as well. But if you take it a step further in today's weird world we live in, some of the security and safety risk. So with doors potentially being left unlocked, that proposes a security threat. Now, say there's an emergency situation and doors are locked, police officers or EMS responds or fire responds, whatever, whoever gets issued a access card, right? Because I'm sure you're aware around the municipal plaza that the police have their own access cards. They'll be able to enter those doors quickly and fast without having to, fumble through keys or try to get a staff member to get back there if those doors are in fact locked. So from a security risk and a safety risk, security and safety situations, keyless entry will not prevent public safety from being able to enter. Keyless entry will pretty much help them get in a lot faster and either neutralize a threat or help someone in need.
Just one more question. How many doors are not being handled? How many doors do we have total?
If I believe correctly, there were, I want to say, on an exterior side or an internal side, or both?
Both.
So obviously bathrooms were not included, and any public entrance, like conference rooms, were not included. And I think there were 3 exterior doors on the back side of the building where all the grass is. Those were not included.
Yeah.
We looked at it from where the police department stands and sits, from a safety and from their response, where they would respond into the building. And that's where door 8 kind of came about, because that's more of a direct route for them to get into the building if there was a threat.
Okay.
So number 5, right? Explain that door to me. is that a door that goes? So
That is the one you're thinking of.
So the desk where I would check out the books,
Yeah.
the very first door, is that door 5?
Yes,
But that goes back and forth.
it does.
So is it a key on both sides?
So
Yeah.
you do have the ability to, because are you referring to that door is unlocked during library hours?
Yes.
Okay, and that's fine. So you do have the ability to schedule that door to be unlocked during library hours, right? Or you do have the ability to, schedule it from a busy period, right, to be unlocked and then locked during a non-busy period. You have flexibility to do that door. It's one of those things where it's locked at night though, and it kind of
it
helps
doesn't-
and protect.
But that doesn't make sense to me. I thought the idea of 3, 4, and 5 was that if there was a threat in the library, staff could get into that area to protect themselves without the threat coming into there. So you would
Right,
want
so-
it locked throughout the entire day.
Yeah, and that's fine. If you guys if we want to look at that door as a safety, as like a shelter in place, you don't have to leave it unlocked. I was just to your point of saying, we use that door a lot. I was saying you have the ability to unlock the door and leave it unlocked if that's a case for a certain period of time. We can also take a step further. We could put a panic button in there. So if there is a threat and the door is in fact unlocked, you can hit that button. The door will lock up.
Oh, that's great.
You have options.
To have it lock that door with a panic button, that's pretty exceptional.
Yeah, you have the ability, like say, hey, there's a threat. We leave this door unlocked. Like, for instance, these are like schools use these, right? So schools do active shooter drills all the time. They do, weird people walk in their building sometimes. We have a school district, probably not that far from you in Edison, that we do this for, we do this for. And basically they have a button in their main office. If there is a threat, they hit the button, it locks all the doors and prevents the doors to be able to use by key swipe. So say, God forbid this ever happens, but say somebody gets a staff member's card, right? You will have the ability then to push the button and deactivate the cards so that potential threat can't get in. Or you just lock the door in total. So you have options. We could do things for you. I wanted to present to you every different option so you could see the benefits to keyless entry.
Do you have to take everything all at once? For example, could you just do 6 and 7 and 1 and
I'm sorry, I think you. Say that again. I'm sorry, you cut off.
Could you do 6 and 7 and 1 and 2, and at a later date add 3, 4, 5, or
For
the
sure.
installation has to be done all at once?
No, this is an expandable system.
Okay.
So we would up front give you enough ability to expand the system, right? We just would remove some of the labor or some of the equipment required to build out doors 3, 4, or 5 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we do this for the town as well, right? So on the DPW side, we work closely with Casey. And when we quoted what he was doing around town, we put in for expansion purposes. Because once you start keyless entry, you're not going to say, okay, hey, it's here, and then we're done. You expand on it because you start to see the pros to it.
The access for these doors, and that's provided on a card, right? It's not
Yep.
it's not the person's identification card, is it?
It could be.
Well, we wouldn't want it to certainly say Old Bridge Library on it, though, right? Because then that person loses it in the parking lot, and somebody would have access to the building.
Yeah,
and then who
Okay.
manages the access on those cards as well?
So, Dawn, you may want to be able to speak on that.
Yeah, so we're working with Stan, with the head of technology for the town, because we are also putting our management of it would be on their servers so that we don't have to, they would host it on their servers so that we don't have to expand our servers and have more space on there with that because of the way that the data lines run from building to building. I would
So you
like,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, so they're hosting it, but I would
Who's
like
they?
us to
Township?
administrate it. Yes,
But we would administrate it.
yes.
That's the question.
Yeah. So you guys would have the flexibility to use their server, which is great because you wouldn't have to then talk to the police, get all their cards imported in the system. You guys would be on their server, but they would not see your stuff and you would not see their stuff. But it would be hosted on their server, which saved you roughly $10,000 in a server cost, plus any other additional network switches needed or anything like that.
No, I just wanted to know who is administering it because if for some
Gotcha.
reason you had to shut off somebody's card immediately, you had an issue with an employee and you took their card away and you wanted to shut it down, and it's 8 o'clock at night or something. I don't want to wait till
Gotcha.
the morning. If it was, let's say, the township that was going to do it, they're not in the office until 8 o'clock in the morning, right? So,
And we can
Gotcha.
also
Yep.
do fobs. It doesn't have to be cards.
Yes.
And then
We can
that's
also do
anonymous.
fobs.
right.
Yeah, they're like little keychain fobs.
Now, how many of these are all the employees going to have the ability to get in the morning individually?
So
As opposed to now, the process isn't correct me anywhere along the way. Right now, our people report at what time? 9?
some of us come in at 9, but the majority come in at either 9:30 or 10.
All right, so the building is open at 10, so anybody after 10 is not going to be a problem that they can get in that way. They don't need somebody to go to the door. In other words, how many of these passes are going to be given out in total?
They would go to every employee, and every employee can be scheduled differently. So it's not like somebody could come here at 3 o'clock in the morning and get in the building. You set the permissions for the individual employees. What it would also stop that's currently happening is that right now in the morning, Linda needs to get up and go over and press the buzzer for anybody when they're coming in. On a day when she's not here, I can do it. For Irene in her office, it's very difficult with the technology tower in there and her distance for her to be able to get to the buzzer. Once circulation comes in, you now have the people at the furthest distance from that door having to go over and visually check to see who's there and buzz them in. So
wouldn't that be workable with just having a camera on the door on the outside and one inside in the hall?
A camera would also help, but that system is it's failing. It's an older system. It's been repaired multiple times, and electricians coming in. So that's one issue. And then the other is that what this would effectively do is the only time we would hear that buzzer is when it's a non-employee trying to get into the building.
Well, unless you wire it that way that you see an employee through a new camera and new lights, as opposed to having all these extra employees having passes to the door. They now can't all use them. So I didn't know that I've been on the board over 20 years and I don't ever remember if we've had any break-in issue at all. We've had people who have gone a little cuckoo while they're here, and the police have dealt with that immediately, and a few times that's happened. So my question is, what is the quote, the dollar value for the quote for this project?
Brett?
I'm sorry, my connection's bad. What was the question?
The
cost?
proposal,
What's the quote?
Yeah.
74?
Yeah, I think I could pull that up. So this is your cost for parts, right? You can see that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the cost for parts, and then this is the labor. And this is all state contract pricing.
You vote on it?
That's
next.
What's the bottom number of how much? 45,000?
45,000 and 6,700. So
And this is for how many?
you want 52,000.
Yeah, but how many cards is this for?
When you say cards, do you mean doors or people that are getting cards?
People that are getting cards, and
That's that's up to you guys.
But the question
No,
is,
I'm saying I want to know how many people are going to have the cards, because I think based on what our history's been, and based on, and I'm talking about security incidents or anything of that type, I think, if you spend $10,000 giving a couple of good cameras on that door that the buzzer needs to go to, and then whether you have a wireless hookup from that. So Linda doesn't have to get up. She can look through the camera that's in her office and in possibly your office, Dawn. And basically, that's why, based on what we've been told, I wouldn't support it, because I don't think it's needed, and to be potentially causing a greater expense, and it's all about risk profile, and I don't think we've had a risk profile over the years that we may be exposing ourselves to more of a risk than we have now. I think it's very minimal.
Does that price include the panic buttons?
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying,
It's all inclusive.
what do you say?
Brett,
Yes,
that
it's all
you said
inclusive.
yes, right?
Yes, all inclusive.
And that price of 45,000 there is for the 8 doors, correct?
Yeah, so that's including like conduit, the cable required, the actual installation of the locks on the doors, the card readers, what's called a request to exit motion sensor, which I'm going to say it's going to chuck an alarm. And what I mean by that is it doesn't show the system as a forced door when you're leaving. So you don't see the door being forced open because you're leaving. And it also includes the door contact insulation, which lets you know if the door is open or closed.
All right, Dawn, what people have to get into the administration? I mean, there's administrators who aren't in their office for whatever the reason, the door is locked. Somebody else has to go in. So that person's going to have to get somebody to open the door now. I understand that. But at the same time, have we had any problem other than getting the door open? What if all the supervisors on the floor had a key for the office and they could just take care of it, rather than have Linda do it all the time? And
I'm not sure how the supervisor, if they're saying youth services, would hear the buzzer on the other side of the building.
so we give them a beeper.
So, well, my question is the number of doors. I'm a little stuck on the 8 doors, because the 2 front doors, for instance, I'm not sure what the need is for those 2. I think it was number 6 and 7 on that chart that he had. So I'd like to see, the need for all of those doors. And if we don't feel that there's a need for all of them, what would be the price difference if we, had a different number of doors?
I agree with you.
6 and 7, that's the front doors. They just,
Right.
during regular working hours, they're opening anyway. Who's walking in with a key card at door number 7? The staff is going through door number 1
It's not for staff, that's for emergency services.
for emergency services.
You mean for 6 and 7?
For 6 and 7.
So 6 is.
Why would emergency services be going in when there's no staff there? Or when the library is not open?
In a lockdown situation or something, and I'm only going
Yeah.
by,
No,
I'm not advocating, I'm saying what the police officers have said to us, that this is the safety issues. And I believe 6 has to do with circulation, because there's that side door going in.
I believe when we had the last meeting, you stated when you asked the police department, you said it would be a good idea. Now, I would not expect them to say anything but that. They don't necessarily understand the whole program and what the cost of it is and all those other things. What I'm suggesting is based on our historical record, and I certainly would want to confirm that what I believe it is to talk to the mayor and have the police department give us a record of any issue of there having ever been a break-in. That building was opened in 1991. And it's 33 years. And to my knowledge, there's never been a break-in. So it's risk versus gain. If you're in a real tough neighborhood, and some of the places that I ran in Newark, we had to leave with employees at night because they would they'd all get robbed. That's a big difference in security.
As a member of Old Bridge Township Public Schools, one of the things that we learn in all of our trainings with the police department and at the county level as well as local level is that anytime, anywhere, something could happen. And that the places where things like Uvalde and so on, they didn't think it was going to happen there. And they were not prepared. Well, I feel that as a public building, listen, you're probably right, Frank. Probably, and God forbid something did happen, but I would rather err on the side of caution.
But I'm still, and I'm sorry, and I agree with you there, Rocco, but I'm still stuck on 6 and 7. And the reason I'm saying that is I understand that if in the middle of the day there was a lockdown situation, who's locking those big sliding doors that automatically open when you walk in front of them? Because in order for the police to have to go with a key card through 7 and then through 6, they would only be doing that if the glass doors weren't sliding open. And I can't imagine in the middle of a situation that anybody's running and locking those glass doors. They're probably in that area where 2 through 5 is secured, right? So I'm just wondering if all of the doors, I get number 8, I get number 1, absolutely, especially for the staff coming in and out. And I get for the 2, 3, 4, and 5 to lock down an area of the library for staff safety. But I don't know if I understand 6 and 7.
We could ask. Sorry, go ahead, Brad.
6, 7. So obviously, I think 6 and 7, to your point, yes, you make a great point, right? No one's locking the sliding glass door during hours. I think 6 and 7 were more of an after-hour idea, right? So burglar alarm goes off. I don't know if you have a burglar alarm, but whatever. There's a break-in, or you guys are. I don't know if I personally, I don't know what you guys do when you're in the public library after hours. I don't know if you guys have conferences, you have meetings in there, but there is after hours you have the ability to access without having to fumble on keys. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Old Bridge Municipal Complex, but they have a lot of keys that the officers have to carry. We specifically deal with the police department on the radio communications and the door swipes for them as well. So they have went ahead and key swiped everything. There's a lot of the ability to show up to an emergency or to show up somewhere and just say, okay, I just got to hit my wallet, because they usually keep it in their wallet. They just have to hit their wallet to the door and it opens, instead of having to fumble keys in their pockets or go back to their car because they forgot the key because the door's locked. It's extreme flexibility for them. And that's probably why it's hard. I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's probably why you guys don't see it as an advantage to you guys. It's more of an advantage really to the police department for an emergency standpoint.
I think there are 2 uses. One is to get in and out of the building like that. The other one is for security. That somehow you have to separate them. I think if you start small and you pick the doors that are most important to you, expand it later when you find out that works well.
And that's certain.
I mean, that's what I would opt for myself. If there are 11 doors, what happens to the others? They are okay? They're locked all the time? Or I don't even know where they are, but we have more than 8 doors, right? Correct?
Right. So this was
a lot of doors.
Yeah, this was quoted. So the initial quote was a first round, right? To your point of an expansion, right? You guys are more than welcome, obviously, to talk amongst yourselves and what you guys feel is important and whatnot. And we can also alter the to at this time we don't see these doors important. That's fine. And then we can you use a system, and then you're like, okay, great, we want to add these doors now, or don't we want to add something different? It's a totally expandable system. You're not locked in. We install it, and you're like. And we're like, okay, see you later. You can't grow this. And then in 5 years or 2 years, you're like, we got to replace this system because it's expandable. You have a complete expansion ability with this system.
Well, if you start it, you're not jerry-rigging buzzers and cameras or whatever. You're starting with the basic idea, but at a minimal cost at that time. And then you can expand it. That's how I see it, if the need arises. When you talk about having to get in after hours, in all honesty, I don't know what you're talking about. An employee is going to come back with their little key and open the library to get their wallet they left behind. That'd be a problem, I think. We've never had a problem with it not being covered when we needed it. Whatever Frank told you about never having break-ins and things like that, that's absolutely true. But life is changing. I understand that. So I think you have to decide what you need it for and start at minimum and expand it when you decide there's a need for it. My opinion.
One of the things that has always kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense. It makes sense, but at the same time, we have what, Rocco, 2-foot numbers on all the doors in the high school on the outside.
Yes, there's numbers outside every door that leads to the outside in every building in every school.
Okay.
That's a fire code thing.
No, and well, it's also if something goes, if 2 crazy kids want to come in and shoot up the school, God forbid it happens, but if they do, so somebody 10 minutes before is supposed to empty the school building out at 2 o'clock, 5 after 2. All you got to do is walk to one of the doors and open it. It's a fire door, is it not, Rocco?
I believe so. I mean, I'm no expert on the.
And if there's 3 or 4 shooters out there, they can just easily come in because they know they're going in the right door.
Well,
Okay, so.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just, are we going to be voting on the site? Do we want?
Well, that was gonna be my question. What is
okay,
the
I'm sorry.
what's the consensus of the board to do tonight with this?
I have a question about the front door though.
Okay.
So it's the sliding door.
No, it's the doors to the side.
Oh, the doors on the side. Okay, because that made.
So, like at the end of the meeting, if we're here
Right,
and the
we push
library's
out.
closed, we go out those little doors. That's what that is. But I'm just, my bigger question would be if we were going to spend that kind of money, then why not utilize 2 doors towards the back of the library where emergency services might come in? I just, again, I don't see the need typically for a situation in the middle of the night when there's no staff or community in here. And they can certainly go through door 8 or door 1 at emergency services if they need it. If it was a situation in the middle of the day, again, I don't see anybody running to lock those sliding doors. I think that.
Right, I think it was more that the police could come in door 8 without being seen.
Well, so door 8, I completely get. Door 8,
okay.
door 1, and like I said, the whole
It's
thing,
just 6
2
and
through
7
5.
there.
It's 6 and 7 where I feel like the library is wide open to begin with. I just.
Can we make a motion to approve everything but door 6 and 7? Is that allowed?
We could do whatever we. Yeah,
You can do whatever you
Or
want.
can we
Yeah.
approve it and say with the
But
additional?
however,
potential 2 other
I would
doors?
also like to ask, like, what would the cost be?
Yeah, I would like to.
6 doors as opposed to 8. Like, is it $2,000 difference and we say it's not really worth it, or is it $20,000 and we go, wow, you know what, that really doesn't make sense for $20,000, right?
Yeah, I would like to resend you a quote if that's the case, right? I don't want to just throw a number at you or you guys to vote on something. I want to give you a number first and then go from there, So if that's the case, I have no problem sending you a new quote.
Yeah, and I would like to make a motion to table it till next meeting when you come back.
Well, we don't currently
We don't
have
have
it
a
on, we
motion.
don't have it on the agenda for tonight, Frank, so we don't need to table it.
All right, fine.
I actually, to your point, is correct. So if we're talking about a safety situation, the front door is open and easy accessible. We're not closing it. However, if there is some kind of horrible situation, God forbid, having the doors instead of in the being open in the front, in the back, at least access one, because not knowing what the situation is, this is a very large building. I would prefer to see those two doors be actually on access for the police, easier access in the back of the building also.
Well,
So
and that's what I
through the
would,
perimeter of the whole building, they would have easier access in security ways. So
and that's what I was
point.
thinking too. If
To
I'm
your
a bad guy, I'm expecting you to come through the front door, to
Right.
come after me.
Right.
And I would think the police would actually want to go through the back door, but
The problem with
No
the back
experience.
here is that we're all glass.
yeah.
So that's it. The only point for them to get in without being seen is 8,
Right.
basically.
Right.
Or
Or
one,
come-
one, but
yeah.
then they're going in that secure area where all the.
Fair enough.
one,
Everybody's
and
walking
actually
down
the 6 and 7, they can also come from that side. But I mean, we're looking at all of these scenarios, and all I've done thus far is listen to those who are actually professionals in this industry. That those are the people I defer to, because I've not had the training of a police officer and I've not had the training of a security specialist.
So if we get another estimate, would that be based on the number of doors that are being affected? Like if we said, tell us what 4 doors, taking care of 4 doors would cost, then you pick out what doors you think are important.
So I think right now we're looking at 6 doors if we got rid of 6 and 7. But I guess I would raise the question to everybody. Does anybody have any other questions to any of the other doors? If we're going to get another quote, we might as well look at everything now. So,
Well, one of the things I would think that we also need to talk about to somebody on the outside is what kind of, I'm not talking about crazy people. That's a separate entire issue, whether you get some crazy guy comes in to hurt somebody, to do whatever bad guys do. They're not coming in there for the money. I mean, it's not like, you
Go to the schools for that.
what's that?
I'm just being wise, no.
This is true. And so there's not a lot of incentive, unless they come. We had the 2 Colombian guys who got arrested with our police dog because somebody had a camera system at home. They called it in and they caught him. But they went into a part of town where they thought they were going to get some value out of it, apparently. Other than we don't have any original books from anybody from 1500 that are worth a lot of money at the auction, do we?
No, we do not, but we also have the example of what happened at the grocery store with the shooting here in Old Bridge, where they do have money and that was not the motive. So we do have an example in town.
yeah.
And I don't think that we can't tell what somebody's decision is. If somebody comes in and acts crazy, that's
Right.
completely on them. We can sit here all day and make up scenarios that may or may not happen.
Right.
It's the same, if all of our children have to go through shooter trainings at schools and a place where other children come in Old Bridge, it should follow the same suit, right? I mean, this is still a township and a
Right.
municipal building, and there's tons
Right.
of children here.
But but we also have to look at it slightly differently than the schools. And the reason I say that is currently now our schools are completely locked down throughout the entire day, right?
For sure.
Whereas here, the public walks in all day
Yes.
long. So there's always that possibility that they could come in unnoticed and then have an issue. And then how do we lock down a secure area?
Yeah, which is why those,
right,
for
right.
sure, but that's why I do think that it's still a very important discussion. We can't make a decision based on it never happening before. And every town in America has probably said that.
So we're looking for another quote excluding 6 and 7. Dr. George brought up a question regarding what if we just did, 1 or 2 doors just to see how it all works and so on. Is there a desire to look at, a price of just doors 1 and 8, or do we feel that we need 2 through 5 as well?
I think that we should do the interior for the employees. So I'll tell you, so I work here at the municipal complex. and public can come in, but administrative doors are all locked. People can't just have access. And I will tell you, my door is not locked, and I had a resident that got very upset and became irate. And it just so happened, by luck, the police officer happened to just call me that does leave. And I was able to say to him, I think somebody needs to come to my office now. So, and I'm accessible, I'm easily accessible. So I personally am starting to see the necessity of having to be, not that you hope that anything's gonna happen, but in the event that something happens, you need to safeguard the employees. We live in a very crazy world right now. So having that, those doors in the interior locked where employees can get to a safe haven, even patrons, they can get them in there, lock them down. You don't know. Everything happens and it happens too quick, so.
Well, so that's where I question, right, is, so you have 2 through 5 and you have a lockdown section there. But what about, you guys were just mentioning the children. Children's section is all the way over there, the complete opposite of the building.
And where's
So-
door 8 though?
Door 8 is there, but that would take them outside. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
but
wanna be
also
outside,
outside,
you
yeah.
wanna be outside, yes.
So-
And if that's where the cops are coming in, that's the safest place then.
If I'm understanding, we're gonna ask Brett for 3 different scenarios. One is the one, Dr. George, that you suggested of doors 1, 2, and 8. Then we're
I don't
gonna,
even know where 8 is. As far as I know, okay, the one in the back, if you can't see it, you ought to take care of it. But the only 2 doors that I know are used a lot are the 2 front ones and the side one in the back. The other doors, those are the outside doors. The ones in the offices to there, you're talking about 2 different things. One is convenience, one is upgrade, I think it's modernizing it, not buzzing and all this. And the other one is safety. Those are 2 different issues. I would pay a lot less for convenience than I would for safety. But, I don't have a clear
This
picture.
is also productivity.
Yeah.
Linda, how much time do you take away from walking from
Okay.
what you're working on to go in?
But that's not worth $58,000.
Yeah, for me.
the others do
Yeah.
the rest.
So you were just saying 1, 2, and 8. Let's go back onto track there. So what would 2 be? So
So-
1 is the door to the outside, 2 is the next one. What is that between?
So we have the actual exterior door, and then there's it's a tiny little foyer.
Okay,
And then we have where the intercom is and where people come in. So currently, right now, if you're the first person coming in, you unlock the exterior door, the alarm is triggered, you turn off the alarm, and then you have to go in through the second door. That outside door remains unlocked during the rest of the day, and only the interior door stays locked.
okay.
In an emergency.
All right.
Is that
So,
correct?
so what you're saying is it doesn't really make sense to do 1 without doing 1 and 2.
Correct.
Okay, so 1, 2, and 8.
Yeah.
And then 1 through 5 and 8.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Just get a price from Brett for these 3 scenarios.
Yeah.
And then I can also, if it's helpful, ask if there's an officer from the police department who would be able to answer questions for the board. Would that be helpful?
Well, I think it'd be helpful to talk to someone like Maria, who was the one that was the go-to person if you needed it open at night. She did that.
This is what they feel is important. I don't think we need to ask them
Yeah.
a question.
Okay.
Well,
All right,
then we have to
then
go back
it would
to
just be
but
the
what she's
estimates
saying
then.
is that those questions.
Let's see
Gotta go
what
another
other
month
scenarios.
after that. Yeah.
I have one more question for
Um,
the.
I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. We have someone in the waiting room.
Oh, sorry.
All right, I can ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead. There was someone in the waiting room. We brought him in.
All right. The way the,
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you as well. I'm gonna mute you.
Who's he?
There we go.
Is that a member of the public
Yes.
Yes.
in the middle of our meeting?
and I'll be done in 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Frank, go ahead.
All right. There's 2 things you're buying here. You're buying an installation, which obviously is going to be predicated. Each door might have a slightly different price, but what was it, $6,000 for the installation? So I would,
No, it was 6,700 for parts.
parts, okay. And the installation is included in the $42,000 plus, whatever that number was.
45.
Right. So just give us what it is for every time we add a new door, and then you just got to figure out the installation, and you don't have to go back to the thing again. The equipment's all the same at each door, is it not?
Well,
The equipment at each door is the same. Yes, your installation varies per door due to the structure of the building is not conducive. I don't want to say not conducive. Is not.
Okay, so you give us the installation for each door, and that should make your decision easier for whatever they.
So are you asking for 8 individual estimates, or
no a sheet that says one door is this, two doors is that, and
right? So a quote for doors 1, 2, and 8, and then 1 through 5 and 8, removing 6 and 7. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm clarifying.
Then we don't have to go back to you, and you don't have to come in again.
Yeah. No problem.
And
okay.
then can we vote on it next meeting? Or we have
We
to
would hope
discuss
that you
it?
would have discussion and vote the
And
same
then
night.
Yes.
Make the motion.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And by the way, we were one of the safest towns in the state of New Jersey or the country 8 or 10 years ago. So, and we have a very low crime rate. That doesn't take care
Don't
of
brag
crime.
about it.
Yeah.
My house was.
Tempting
All right.
you on.
Thank you very much, Brett. Thank you for attending.
Yeah. No problem.
You're
I
helping.
appreciate
Thank you so much, Brett. We'll be in
Okay.
touch.
Moving
Yeah,
right
Dawn,
along.
I will. I'll send you those quotes once I get them ready, and then I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care.
All right, any other old business? So we'll move on, any new business? Let's go right to director's report.
Were there any questions about the director's report?
Yeah. Why do we not give us, I haven't seen the things that we traditionally got as part of the director's report, which was what our circulation was in a given month, so on and so forth.
I thought that we'd agreed to do the statistical reports on a quarterly basis.
Was there a motion for that, and when did it happen?
It wasn't a vote, it was a discussion.
Well, you're making a policy then, which should be something that the board makes.
I asked a question and I was given an affirmative answer. That was what I was moving forward with.
All right, then I would suggest you make it into a motion so it goes in a record so we all understand it.
Well, Frank, if we're just talking about the procedures and timing of directors' reports, that wouldn't necessarily be a motion. That would be something that would just be discussion at a board meeting.
Well, let's.
If that's already been discussed, then if you want to discuss it again now, we can.
What board meeting did we discuss it at? Because they were all online and we can look it up if we've forgotten, because I don't remember that discussion either.
Yeah, I don't recall it.
You know, I had some new business that I wanted to, we kind of jumped past it, Kevin. I thought that a very good job was given in providing the bank accounts and providing the interest paid on our various accounts. I think, who's in charge of keeping an eye on that? It's not the finance
That would
committee.
be Irene, would it not?
I mean,
Well, I
Irene,
think go ahead.
Irene reports the numbers. I don't think
No, I mean in charge. Okay.
Yeah.
We have bank accounts that are paying 0.05, 0.005. Anyway, ridiculous. All right. Who looks at these accounts and says, you know, this one needs a little more interest? I don't know about you guys, but right now I've taken money out of one account and put it in another because the difference was 2% or 5.5%, and that's real money. We're talking about $4 million. Who changes it? And I've been treasurer. I've been chairman of the finance committee. I never knew anything about it. I thought it was magic. But I'm curious now, and in all honesty, I have been asked that from somebody outside, people outside, who watches over that? It can't be a committee. We don't work for the library. So it's either, I assume it's the director and then whoever is designated, like Irene or whoever. Is that true? Or where do we look at this? We're talking almost $5 million. I mean, almost $4 million.
It's all a valid point, Dr. George. And I I mean, so Irene has certain responsibilities. I think the finance committee should be giving directives on any financial needs of the library. And so certainly that's something that I think could be brought up by the finance committee. And if they so wished, can give a directive to the director to search out better interest rates where probable.
Well, someday somebody's going to explain to me, and I'm sorry, I'm old and stupid, the role of committees, because I don't understand it now. It's changed drastically. I don't know how a person like I was becomes a chairman of the finance committee, and all of a sudden I know about banking. Are you kidding? I think that it has to be somebody who's employed, getting a salary, who either knows how to handle it or can hire a consultant or somebody else. But somebody ought to be looking at this. Because if you're accepting 0.25%, 1%, in this day and age, something's wrong. I think it can be negotiated. Kevin, you work for a bank. I don't work for a bank.
Well, listen, it's a valid point. But, again, I think some decisions have to be made, right? So some of our banking, for instance, is done with Amboy Bank, right? And I know that their rates are a bit low. Certainly, if it's a large sum of money, I'd say we probably should look for better alternatives on interest. But if it's on checking and savings type of funds, Amboy Bank does provide us a facility in Lawrence Harbor and do things for the bank, and they provide it to us. So I think that it's beneficial to have that good relationship with them as well.
Well, I don't want to talk about an individual bank. I mean, that's not but I think you have a lot of banks in Old Bridge. Mm-hmm. And look, I think you negotiate these kind of things. You may have a CD that's paying 2%, and you say, I'm going to take it out if you can't do better. When I said that, the bank told me, okay, you give 4.5. I just think somebody ought to be looking at it because we're talking about $4 million. I'm not going to talk about the.
Sounds like you want to hire like an independent person.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
That it sounds like you would want to hire an independent financial advisor or somebody to that effect to look at all the finances, maybe once or twice a year, quarterly, and follow up to see what's going on and if things are accurate.
I think that's a good point. I mean, I don't do law by myself. I have Chris. So if something was going on with this, we get somebody from outside. I just think that it can't be a secret. I'm not sure why one bank has, they have, 7 or 8 accounts. It may be fine. I mean, I've grown up with Amboy Madison. The president's kids went to Memorial when I was principal there. So, and that's fine. They're good friends, but it may be that we just have to have some transparency. I was amazed to find out how much money we have. That $250,000 that we have in escrow from selling the little gray building. I mean, that's just sitting there. It's getting 2.5%.
And it was only $187,000 originally.
Think about if it was getting 5%. But at any rate, I would want it looked at. Chris, I didn't know if the information that was sent to me is confidential. I don't know how I would not understand how it's taxpayers' money, how the public couldn't look at it. But
the rates that you are paying to banks are not confidential.
Okay. All right. So what would be?
If we had contracts with the banks, those could be confidential in part, but mostly not.
The conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Our
this
discussion to make a change could be an executive session discussion, but
okay.
The documents themselves are all public.
Okay.
Or
Thank
publicly
you.
accessible.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, Kevin. That's all
Thank you. Back to the director's report. Okay.
Were there any other questions on what was included in the director's report? Just a
Hang
few.
on 1 minute. I have it here. If I could see, we'd be all right. I just didn't understand what your sentence where it said all of our current personnel issues will be updated by the personnel committee.
I think this goes to your point of what is the role of the committees. at previous meetings, you had said that, so what I've been trying to do is filter things more to the committees because that's what's been done here. And I didn't see a point in going through all of the things that we've been doing that were actually with the personnel committee, meaning the consideration for positions, all those kinds of things, that all of those updates would be made with the personnel committee and not in the director's report. Does that clear it up?
No, I think we have different views of what committees are, because last year, this job description that was approved tonight, you sent to me, I believe in June, with a name of who you thought would do the job well. And we were the personnel committee then, felt that we already had a job like that approved the month before. And we were not going to sit and go over that. And so that was that. It got brought up again some other time. I think a committee exists for the board. So you give them you give a thought of what you want. The committee looks at it amongst themselves and then decides to recommend or not recommend to the whole board, not to the whole group. I think that's my vision of it. As a committee chair, I don't work for the library. I don't get paid a salary. I don't keep files. Anyway, so I may be totally wrong. I don't know, but that's my vision of it. If Chris wants to tell me I'm wrong, I'll listen to him, but that's the only one.
Your committee process, every committee does operate independently and then bring recommendations to the board, but every committee also has an administrative liaison. Normally, the administrative liaison in this library is always the same person because you have a limited number of administrators. But like you were using as the example, the job description was brought to the personnel committee. They approved it. It got onto an agenda. Board voted on it tonight. So that is your committee process.
That's simplified, Chris. That came by.
Well, yeah, there was the 9 months of messing around with it before that happened. But
the personnel committee said that it wasn't our job. They had a different one that had been approved. Talk about that. I think the job that was approved tonight, we haven't finished with. We have to look at it. I want your opinion on some things that affect unions, whether they know about it.
It has been approved at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
All of your job descriptions are live documents, so we can always revise those.
Sure.
But right now, you've got one in effect for that position.
But anyway, at any rate, as long as we know what's expected, that's okay. That's the end of my discussion. I don't know how to get into all of this.
Board's job's easier, right?
Yep.
We come together, we've agreed that we're part of this committee. We make decisions, we bring it back to the board. I don't think that then we have to have the entire board enter into a discussion. Then what is the purpose of the committees then?
That's correct.
You're supposed to divide up the work.
Exactly.
And then bring it all onto
and then bring it here
an
so
agenda.
everybody, you fill people in, we vote on it. But to me, if the committee is making a recommendation, I would assume that most of the board then would be okay with it, right?
Yeah,
I just feel like we spin and we keep going.
And I think part of the confusion is something that Chris alluded to is the liaison for that committee for administration. And as he mentioned, it being in a smaller organization such as the library, it's typically the director. That's the point. The director will, if she has something that she would like to move forward with, she will bring it to the board. But instead of bringing it to the entire board, she brings it to committee.
Right.
Those committee members will discuss it, Joan, you said amongst themselves. Yes, essentially amongst themselves, but I think many times it's difficult to just discuss it amongst themselves without administration being there to be able to answer the questions and give specifics as far as what the desire is or the need is for that item, whether it be a position or so on, or a technology need or whatever. And then the committee can assess it. They may assess it with the administrator in the room. They may assess it with the administrator out of the room and bring that person back in. But eventually then they come to a decision. Do we want to move forward with this and make a recommendation to the board?
And the basis of what you're moving to do is your recommendation to the whole group. You don't have any, you can't pass it. I mean, you.
No, we can't pass it. That's correct.
And Kevin, every committee has the president on it ex officio. So,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, it's not, they were not operating as a group by themselves. And as president, you know how I felt last year, that I was not going to take direction on when I was going to meet from anybody but you. But if you said, you're chairman of that committee, I want you to have a meeting. If I could have gotten the people together, we would have had the meeting.
Yep. I agree. Okay.
But we don't run the library.
No, we definitely do not run the library.
No, I have no
We
desire.
know where to start.
Okay, so if there are no further questions about the report, I just have a couple of updates. You all may have heard about the eclipse. I don't ever want to hear that word again. And on the day of the eclipse, we had over 500 phone calls to circulation alone, 150 calls to Linda. And what was great is that it showed the importance of the communication role, because I needed to create language so that we don't have every employee responding to those questions on their own. There needs to be one uniform answer. So we did that, but it was nice that it illustrated that. We had News Channel 12 telling people that we were giving glasses away, which was incorrect. We were only doing it at our event. Someone went rogue on Facebook and posted, go to the library at any time and get free glasses. So there was a lot to see there with communication. One of the other benefits to that is I discovered that we have 2 Facebook pages, one official and one not official. So we're getting all of that sorted out, and with this role that was approved tonight, that will be getting done.
Well, I think something that has to be defined is that there should be one spokesman for the library. Right now, anybody and their grandmother can put something on, and it's just, I know, having been on the Board of Education for a long time, we had one spokesman. Everybody who wanted to didn't put it on. The only one that never puts anything on there is the director. I never see your name on it. But if Pam is a spokesman, that's fine. She puts it on. But now you have other people who don't work for the library that are putting their opinions on, and in different places. You know how many resident pages there are? Groups?
Yes.
And that's why you got in that big.
Yeah. But we can do a much better job at taking control of our narrative. And with the motions that we've gone through this evening, I anticipate that happening very quickly, and you'll all get reports about that.
Didn't every library get glasses to give out? I had heard that. The library.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Joan. What was that?
Didn't every library get glasses to give out?
Not everyone, and that's an important point. So there's a group that's called the StarNet Library Network. And what they do is it's a grant. So we don't buy those glasses. We get those glasses from StarNet, but we have to fulfill some requirements. We can't just give out glasses. We have to have educational programming. So staff here live streamed from NASA, the eclipse. We had a really heartwarming viewing party out front where everyone was outside with their glasses. Probably, I would say about 80 people. And then we also had crafts for the kids to come in and do some eclipse activities. Pam did a great thing where originally she took a certain number of the glasses, I think maybe 100 of them, and she raffled them off on Facebook to bring some attention to social media. And then the remaining glasses that we had, we gave away 300 pairs of glasses in less than 5 minutes. People were lined up.
And you started at 2:00 giving the glasses out, so it wasn't all day.
Yeah.
But, I don't think that it was specific problem to Old Bridge Public Library. I think it was every library.
Yeah.
The media itself,
You're
mentioned as well, but I had seen it on several media accounts and social media saying, get yourself solely eclipse glasses. You can get them at your local library.
Yeah.
Like it's just a general, like every library is going to have an unlimited amount of them.
Yeah.
Just go get them.
Yeah. So, and Joan, to finish the answer to your question, that group, if the library doesn't apply with them and meet the requirements of the grant, then they don't get glasses.
Do they do other things beside eclipse glasses? Because it's a limited field.
It's encouraging libraries
For 2042.
to educate about astronomy.
Okay. I see. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, I think the library got good press on that. They were all on television. Everybody was, the time was unfortunate because kids were in school. So
I know.
I don't know how they got there, but at any rate.
And that
now we can get ready for the cicada. When we get the 2 million cicada descending on us, we can have another lesson or whatever. Interesting times.
And what's really nice is that reporter just reached out to us out of the blue. Linda fielded the call and sent it on to me. There was no warning in advance. She literally was going to be there in 2 hours, but she was extremely helpful, and she made sure that we have her cell phone number so that we can contact her for other things like the summer reading program. So that worked out really well.
Okay, awesome.
Middlesex County Commission.
I got Eclipse glasses at home. I got them.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you did, but we'll have comment later.
Yeah, we'll get to you. I'm sorry.
The Middlesex County Commissioners approved a proclamation in support of libraries for National Library Week. I'm not sure if the board's interested in seeing those things. Just knowing that there's a proclamation, I feel like was enough. And the rest is for committees.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything else they'd like to discuss in the director's report? Okay, so buildings and grounds, Rocco?
No, we're just on the doors, so.
So finance, there was a few takeaways for finance, I think, and I'll speak to Maria about that, and particularly with the bank accounts and so on, and
the budget.
And the budget, yeah. Outreach and marketing, Frank, anything currently?
Well, with all that extra money that we have now assigned to specific areas, but the cumulative of close to 4 million, of which about 400,000 of it is restricted and is used strictly for south, down by Marlborough Road. There's some expression. Been one of the councilmen that grew up in Ward 5, and he's a little apprehensive about using that building, only because one of the things that I'm a little apprehensive about. We donated $1.5 million to the Lawrence Harbor thing, and against the township $6 million. It's going back for the use down in Lawrence Harbor, and that's great, because if we have the surplus, that's where it should go.
Orange Public Library will be closing in 30 minutes.
I'm not done yet. Don't close.
Thank you, and have a good night.
And we might want to reconsider and approach the town and either work out something where either they take that building. Now, I know several of the board members were there when we made the trip down. Property's big enough. It's located in a good spot. And one of the things that I think we need to do also is we're on, Dawn, correct me if I'm wrong, we only use 5 number zip codes, correct?
We only use 5 number zip codes?
Yes. We don't use for our records of where people live in town.
I believe so.
Yeah. It would probably be worth it to get the current list converted to a 9-digit zip code as a separate file. So then you have the ability at any given time to fairly easily determine what your actual counts is and where they're going, so that if you, at this point, most of the new development still is mostly in Ward 5 and 6, but it's going to get more densely crowded. But my point is, if you get that and you just maintain it, it's not going to be a big expense. Then when you want to analyze where you put the thing down and the size that it should be, in 5 and 6, you have a lot more intelligent information to work with. It's not rocket scientists, because I can do it. I know it's not rocket scientists. So there's companies out there that put that list, and if you get it, when it comes time to decide what kind of capacity you need to have for that, and then maybe we try and do something collaboratively with the town. They own the property, no charge to us, and we build our own building, similar size to what's down in Lawrence Harbor now, as a freestanding new building. And you can even put a little playground in there, although that's not a good spot, because based on, there's no sidewalks on Marlboro roads. So I don't know, but there are kids who are driving bikes around there. But I think that's something that we should at least find out how many people out there are actually using, that are actually from where they're from, and we can get a whole lot better idea on if we need any additional expansion. But you got $400,000 to start now, and you might be able to put a building up for $1.5 million, $2 million. 8 to 10.
When did we decide if we wanted another building? Because I must have missed that meeting. When did we do a survey to find out what people want there?
Well, it's predicated on the fact that when the old library that was there, which was closed, I think in the 80s sometime, they donated the money from that sale to the town council, who quickly turned it over to the library legally. And that's it, been in the library's financial possession ever since then. And it's grown to somewhere between 350 and 400,000. So unless you can change that law.
No, I think that the grant was made to improve library services to South Oldbridge. You don't have to build a building for that. We need to find out what people want instead of telling them.
That's right. And we're working on that with the new hires and the positions that were approved tonight. In my discussions with the director, she has a directive to start to reach out to the community more, find out what the needs and the desires are. In the meantime, I think it behooves us to start to look at what our possibilities are in South Oldbridge and what that might cost and what other opportunities are there. And I think part of this comes from part of it is also having discussions around van service and what could be done with van service and different things. And, will that suit the needs? I don't know. But I think there's a lot that we still have to learn about what the community wants over there. And then we'll get to that next spot. But the mayor has reached out to me that facility is available for the library if we'd like to use it. So I think that, however, and Frank was there with me, a few of us went there, it is a difficult facility to use for a library because of the stairs. It's a very old building. There's no elevator going up. It wouldn't be ADA compliant. So there's a lot of concerns there too that have to be looked at. All right, thanks, Frank. Yep. So personnel, just want to give a quick update.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys see, right, that we approved this job of the coordinator of strategy and communication. So we had worked kind of through that and got some clarity. And then I think everybody got a copy of the evaluation.
Yeah,
I sent it. So we had worked through that as well. Kevin and I met with Dawn earlier tonight. She is just digesting it because we sent it to her today, obviously. So giving her some time. I think that's it.
Good. Okay. Policy. Nothing, right? Policy. Okay. And then technology. So, Dawn, I know you had sent some information to technology committee.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we'll have the technology committee meeting in the next month. And I say hoping because I did send some matters that need to be considered. The website proposal, I sent it to the committee. And the server replacement, which has been recommended as an urgent matter. And then, Frank, did you see the email that I sent yesterday
About which one?
The computers?
Yeah, again, they gave a list of all the ones that we have. I saw the years on it, and a lot of them was old as 14, 15 years old. Now, I believed, I guess falsely, that we were replacing our computers allegedly at, was staying within the 5 years. And we're well beyond that. So these are mostly staff computers. They're not things that are on the floor.
It's all of them. The only thing that has been updated is what we did recently at Lawrence Harbor and Circulation. Those were approved at a prior meeting, and basically all the rest of the computers are in need of update, both public and staff.
So on the public ones, what is the specific need? Is it additional storage capacity? What's the need on it? I mean, given the kind of work that we do on the computers for the most part, what shape are the older ones in?
Of the 19 computers that we have, 1 is from 2014, 5 are from 2016, 8 of them are from 2017, and 2018, there are 2. Sorry, and then in addition to that, there are 3 Chromebooks, which are all 2014. So essentially, it's everything. Memory speed, all of those things. The most recent computer available to the public right now was manufactured in 2018. So that's also with all of the staff computers. The majority of them are prior to that.
And can some of those older ones be morphed over to the ones that public uses?
I wouldn't put a 2014 or 2016 computer out for the public.
Is there going to be any salvage money from them?
So if I can get to the email, I think it will explain that, because I was waiting. So the reason why this came up is that LMXAC has done a group purchasing, and we would save $157 per computer and they're the exact same computers that we've been purchasing. So $157 per computer. The total that we need altogether is $39,000, and that's $34,000, and that's over bid threshold. And this order has to be placed by April 24th, or we won't have an opportunity until next year. So my suggestion is that we purchase 15 computers now, and we'll either put them in starting the public area or going through to do the oldest ones. And then next year we can do another set, like another 15, and then we can finish up the following year. And that way what we're doing is staggering the age of the computers so that they're not all coming available in the same year, because that's a larger purchase.
Yeah,
so
are these computers going to even last much longer? 2014?
I know.
Do you even want to wait 3 years for another?
No. I just asked the question because I want to know if they can be used elsewhere, whether they're sold to the public if they have a choice at it. We run that, whatever the case may be. What is the total price for each computer with the reduction?
If we did 15 computers, I put that in the total for the email. And no, nothing would be salvageable. And the laws governing the removal of public merchandise prohibit us from selling them.
Yeah, unless you go with a government auction, and they might go, they may not go, because there's all kinds of auctions all over the place on trucks, cars, everything you name it. Public auctions, if they're owned by a government entity. So the
15 computers would cost $13,207, and we would save $2,355. We can also approve going up to 17.5 and adding a few more computers on there, because that way we avoid having to go out to bid.
Well, I guess you really, if you're buying it from a government, are they buying it from a approved source already, so that 17.5 is academic?
I don't think she's saying it's a state contract, Frank. I think she's saying it's just a bulk rate that LMXAMC.
So LMXAC said that these prices are lower than the state contract.
Since the decision has to be made before the next meeting, correct?
Yes.
All right, I would suggest that the quote that LMXAC sent you, that you sent to all of the board members, trustees, and if we can do it with a Zoom vote, if everybody agrees, I just get that in everybody's hands as soon as possible. And what are we paying if we go to the Dell rate?
What's today? Today is the 10th, and you need this by the 14th?
The 24th.
Rather. So that's 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
And we want to hold a special meeting just for that one vote?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if everybody gets this thing, they can all read it, and then we can call and have a meeting, do it on Zoom or, and.
That's
Special meeting. That's a special meeting.
Yeah, all right. But it can be all done by Zoom, could it not?
Why can't you make a motion tonight?
Yeah,
you can.
What is it you're waiting for to find out?
I'd like to see, I don't get quotes on anything, and I know.
There is a quote.
But I don't have it from Lemix.
I think, you can't keep setting up meetings because people have lives to live.
All right, fine. Vote on it now, and I'll vote no because I don't have enough information.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Well, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Your motion is
We have to know what the motion.
Purchases of using 17.5 as close. Price is Right rules as close as possible without going over.
The 17.5.
Okay, got it.
But I would still like you to send me the quote from Lumix.
Yeah.
You do. I'll forward it again. I did send it to you yesterday.
I'll just ask Dawn that you send it to the entire trustees. I don't know if you sent it to everyone. I know I got it, but.
Yeah, I was waiting for.
Okay, so just send it to everyone so they have it. And if they have any questions, they can come to you directly.
Perfect.
Okay.
Was a motion just made? Did we vote on
I
it?
second.
Second.
Sorry, Dr.
Get
Was the motion just made?
Yeah.
It was. And it was seconded.
Could you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was to authorize purchase of the computers up to 17.5.
Okay, fine.
So
And
any
we
further discussion then? Okay, roll call, please.
Maddie,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Rocco,
Yes.
Dr. George,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
I am a yes. Matt, we're done.
Frank.
Oh, Frank. Oh, I'm sorry, Frank, I missed you.
I'll decide when I'm done. I abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Use
so
the
that
money we
covers it.
saved on the doors.
That covers it for committees. Let's go to public comments. Anyone from the public like to speak?
I would like to speak.
Hi, Manu.
Name and address.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
What brings you to the library meeting tonight?
I like learning new skills, new faces, getting to learn about the nice meetings.
Oh, great. I hope we were able to you were able to learn something from us tonight. I hope.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for joining. It's always nice to have members of the public come and speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? Okay, go ahead.
Just kind of addressing, I don't know how much the opinion matters here, but there was something that was said about the, I guess, keyless.
It's very hard to hear you.
Sorry, there was something that was said earlier about the keyless entry system that you guys were doing. I probably obviously didn't say this earlier,
My specialty is cybersecurity, which mainly the technology side does also do physical security. There was an interesting comment about you didn't want to do something. I think you made the comment, Dr. Jordan, just for convenience. Typically speaking, kind of one of the first things you see is that the lack of convenience is what leads to most security issues. Mentioned something about leaving doors open, which is probably a bad idea. I was a resident in Old Bridge most of my entire life. I grew up here. Can speak to the number of times I've been able to pull doors open in the old Old Bridge High School West Campus. But we've seen anything, whether it's, I'm sure you've seen this in schools, universities as well. I went to Kane University. Again, it's a publicly accessible place, but obviously after a certain time, things are locked. They didn't initially have a lot of electronically locked buildings. Now they all are. So the idea that here it's kind of a debate about it doesn't seem like much of a debate to me. It's probably something you guys should be doing. Another thing in general, physical locks can always be picked, can be pulled. It's just the way things are going. So again, not sure how much that means to you guys, but just kind of giving my 2 cents as my expertise.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
The Old Bridge Public Library will be
Okay.
closing in 10 minutes.
Last call.
This is the final call for all materials. Thank you and have a good night.
Esty, were you gonna say something? Take it as a no. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Thank you. All right, everyone, have a good night and speak to you next month.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.